Okay. let me. I gotta open my OneNote app, and
Oh my gosh.
get my things in order. I gotta buy a ticket for this train.
Nope.
Hey, hey, what's up?
Someone woke up one morning, typed in Guy Ritchie anime into ChatGPT, and Bullet Train was born, baby.
Yeah.
I know they're saying it's like adapted from a Japanese comic book called Maria Beetle.
Novel, I thought.
Novel. Oh
Yeah.
my God, a book?
A full book.
Jesus.
I want to also. There's something in this movie that I pointed out when we watched it that I was like, and I still think I'm like, it's so fucking stupid. And it's from the book, so I feel bad kind of criticizing it. But I was like, when I watched it, I was like, I hate this entire aspect, and I'll talk about it. But
I think they Japan gets the pass on the weirdometer, where they can just be. They just take it at face value. They're like, oh yeah, this is normal for our minds. Our minds are too powerful, and this is normal for us. And I respect it. Wow, welcome to the Low Ceiling.
Welcome to the Low Ceiling. I am John,
And I'm Pri.
and we're talking about the David Leitch film, Leitch.
Leitch?
David Leitch film, Bullet Train, which it's in celebration. Sorry, my mind completely melted right there. The Fall Guy, David Leitch film is
That's
coming
right.
out as
That's
you
right.
hear this. It will be out. Get your tickets because yet again, I will not be going to see that movie. But
Not even for our boy Ryan Gosling.
not even for Ryan Gosling or
Damn.
Emily Blunt, who we're now learning from Stanley Tucci is kind of the worst Blunt.
What the hell?
Felicity is so much better, you know. Felicity Blunt,
Felicity does
Felicity
take it for the
Tucci
team.
rather is she's the bomb. But so this movie directed by David Leitch in celebration of his new film. I'm pretty sure it took Bullet Train 5 years to come out because I felt like I was watching the ad for it forever.
For so long.
I saw this is another one of those movies that I'm like, I must have seen this trailer a million times, like Civil War, and like what was it recently I saw where we were talking about something. I was like, I've seen that trailer so many fucking times.
Antlers.
No, that was different, but Morbius was the other one for sure.
Oh, Morbius was also delayed.
But no, this movie, it just felt like they were marketing it so far away from its release date for a movie that frankly is just not really that worth it. Like, it's okay.
I mean, if you're big fans of Scott Pilgrim and John Wick and you wanted to see them all in the same movie in a bad way, then that's Bullet
Sorry,
Train.
if you're fans of either of those films, you will be disappointed in this movie.
Well, I mean, I just mean like tonally, and then the kind of pace they take.
Weirdly, this movie is like I kind of looked for people's opinions on the internet about like what do people think of this movie. Lots of people really like this movie.
Yeah.
And I understand why. It is fun. I don't think it's quite very good. I think Brad Pitt is good. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson is good. Brian Tyree Henry is good in the sense that he proved to me that he can also be one of the most annoying people on the planet if he plays a certain role.
If
which
you
I
give
thought,
him a British accent, he'll do it.
I thought it was impossible. I thought Brian Tyree Henry could only ever be great, but he isn't in this film.
There's already too many 3 named characters, like Brian Tyree Henry, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Just pick one name.
Zazie Nicole Beetz. Or
Zazie JC Beetz.
It was so weird for Zazie Beetz to have like the whitest middle name
Greg.
ever. Zazie Gregory Beetz. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. He makes a cameo in this. Bad Brian Bunny. He's also in this film.
Bad Bunny. Oh man. Look.
Yeah.
Everyone in this movie is hot. And I think that's what they had going for it. Whoever decided to give Aaron Taylor Johnson a mustache, hope you're having a good day. Great choice.
Yeah.
Casting all these little cuties in the film where you know this movie doesn't need to be good for it
No.
to be watchable.
Also, Sandra Bullock doing the Woody Harrelson, not showing up, but being like, that's definitely Sandra Bullock talking.
I
it
wouldn't
was-
have realized it.
Oh
Damn.
man, I think Sandra Bullock has a great and iconic voice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually, as you know, I don't like this movie very much, but I quite like Sandra Bullock's kind of like the way she's delivering what she's doing in this very like kind of calm manner, because she's like the earpiece that Brad Pitt talks to completely give exposition at all times for the film. Yeah.
I feel like this movie is going to become one of those films that you can just throw on and watch.
Yeah.
You can throw it on when you have friends on and, you know, there's like lull in the conversation and you're just like focused on the film. This can be that film.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, Bullet Train shouldn't work. It shouldn't be even as good as it kind of is. Like, there's a lot of, there's like terrible exposition, all this flashback, all this weird labyrinthian like story plots, and there's all this stuff going on.
Sorry, can I see what you said about exposition? The first 30 minutes, they cannot seem to resist to go like 1 minute without a fucking flashback.
My God,
it's
so
so
heavy.
frustrating because it's just kind of like I don't care that Bad Bunny was part of like 28 Days Later.
I know.
And I don't care.
God.
But although it pays off only with Bad Bunny because he dies immediately, which is funny.
Yeah.
But even like, oh my God. I wrote this down. This snake has a autobiographical flashback. That's just like, we saw a news clipping of the snake escaping from a zoo, and then the snake appears on the train, and then it's like flashback. Snake escapes from zoo. It's like, we know that. I
tell you
it.
what.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this motherfucking snake on this motherfucking train. Okay, just the plot not great. The story, who cares? There's a bullet train, and there's lots of bullets on the train, but just the sheer light that is radiating from every single cast member.
Mm-hmm.
Is enough to kind of keep your attention.
Oh, it's definitely got to be carried by the charisma of the cast. And if you find like Brian Tyree Henry not intolerable like I do, then you're pretty okay. I think Joey King is good. I think the Japanese guy who plays Wataru is
Brad
good
Pitt.
Too. Yeah, Brad Pitt
is cinema.
Well, so here's the thing. Here's what I thought about Bullet Train. So I'm always shocked to remember that. I'm like, it came out in 2022, but I feel like as soon as Brad Pitt won supporting actor for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they were like, roll out the Bullet Train trailer for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Just to get ready. Because it was like the next movie he did, I swear to God. And
but if it didn't have him, I don't think this movie would have been...
Dude, no.
Like not even a quarter of the attention or
But it was also
ratings.
like, it also definitely felt like Brad Pitt was like, I need a break from the serious stuff for a second.
And he killed it. He's so funny in it.
He is really good in this.
He's
He's very
so
funny.
charming.
Yeah.
Like the movie made my eyes bleed a little bit, just like some of the characters. And the snake had nothing to do with it, but it was.
Oh, speaking of eyes bleeding, so I watched the Blu-ray commentary. With David Leitch, the writer and the producer. Sorry, whose names I forgot. You can always Google them. And I didn't glean a lot from it. I didn't find it that like they didn't tell me too much, but the producer is really funny because when Logan Lerman shows up to play a role that lasts like a minute, they're like David Leitch was like, oh yeah, and there's a great Logan Lerman making his first appearance. She was like, I don't know why he did this. she was like
why he chose to be part of this
I don't know
movie?
why he chose to be part of this. She's like, he's such a good actor and he's like good at so many things, and he chose to be part of a movie where he just dies immediately.
Brian Tyree Henry, and so is Brad Pitt.
But Brian Tyree Henry is there throughout the film, though.
Oh,
Logan Lerman has 2 scenes and dies.
Yeah. Logan Lerman, the best scene that he's in is the only scene that he's in when he's talking is someone tells him that you look like a Percy. Mwah.
Yeah.
Because of, Percy Jackson.
He also has to he has to sit there while they adjust his seating, him in his seat like all the time. So it's like Logan Lerman is like he's acting as a corpse for most of the film. Yeah.
He's what's that with the corpse wedding guy? Weekend at Logan's.
That's Tim Burton's Corpse Wedding.
Oh, damn it.
No, Weekend at Bernie's.
Yes. Yeah. Weekend at Percy's, isn't it? And they're
Tim
doing it.
Burton's Corpse Wedding.
Dude.
Next oncoming film. Now, sorry, you have to, I know you don't want me to do this, but you have to issue a correction to Rock and Rolla.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because Chris informed us. You said that The Italian Job was a Jason Statham film.
No, it was the British one is different. And Jason Statham is in the American one.
If you could let me finish. You said that the American Italian Job with Mark Wahlberg was a Jason Statham film, but those are one and the same film.
Correct.
The original Italian Job is a Michael Caine film.
Yes. I just mean the British man.
I've buried enough members of the Wine family. That's not even a very good Michael Caine. Yeah.
Yeah. As long as we're just always keeping Mr. Guy Ritchie in our subconscious.
Yeah.
That's all that I'm trying to do.
Speaking of Guy Ritchie, so anyway, we had to correct that for all of the people out there who like smashed their phones being like, no, it's a Michael Caine film, you morons. which I think they
Christopher,
probably did.
I'm sorry.
That was, I think, that was Chris's reaction. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how he texted me because he smashed his phone.
He has not spoken to me since.
Yeah. He would not look you in the eye. Yeah, but this movie, like, it's so weird that we did it so close to a Guy Ritchie film because it just feels like a Guy Ritchie film.
Just like Layer Cake, baby.
In David Leitch's kind of trademark style, it's like, how many traumatic head and facial injuries can I give to people?
Oh my God.
Whereas Guy Ritchie's a little bit more like, what kind of quippy British stuff can people say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So David Leitch, I was under the impression, and I was wrong, that he had directed all the John Wicks. That's not true. Chad Stahelski is the director of those movies that I'm not very familiar with because I haven't seen them. I've only seen the first one.
Is he a producer or?
Leitch was the uncredited co-director of John Wick 1.
Then
he went on to do Atomic Blonde, a movie I haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
Deadpool 2, which I think is a black mark on the face of
what
cinema.
What the hell are you talking about?
And then Hobbs and Shaw, which I've said before is my favorite Fast and the Furious franchise film.
Yes,
of course. Now he's doing The Fall Guy. But he is in that lane of like, so he's in that lane with Stahelski, Leitch, and the guy who directed Extraction. Have you seen Extraction on Netflix?
No.
I kind of like Extraction.
It's got like good ratings.
And do you want to know why? Do you want to hear my review of Extraction?
Go on then.
It's like someone went to pitch it to the studios and was like, instead of like plot and character development, what if we replaced all of that time with punching and shooting? And Netflix was like, as long as you do it in the cheapest country on earth, we're happy with it. And he's like, I have one in mind, Bangladesh. We could go there.
Damn.
And I think it's this weird genre of comedy action thrillers. Extraction is not funny, but where it's just so much nonstop action.
Well, that's why I think Bullet Train kind of feels like, is it one of those tax write-off films that actors do?
I mean, I don't know. But
or they're like baited into a contract and then they're like, I guess I have to do this movie now.
Well, when you think of how it was made, it's kind of like they're all just on a set all the time. They don't have to go anywhere. Like,
yeah,
like you're not surprised to know that like they didn't film in Japan at all. Like it's like part of this. Okay, I want to talk more about this. I said this was something I wanted to discuss in like a more serious manner. Is like, these movies, John Wick's and the Extractions and the Bullet Trains and Atomic Blonde kind of looks like the same. And Monkey Man was the same too. It's like these movies that are kind of just like excessively violent and action packed, but to the point that it's like, I find them kind of frustrating because you don't get a lot of character stuff. And also you get so overwhelmed with the action and the violence that you're just kind of like, it becomes part of the most boring part of the movies, in my opinion. And I'm just kind of like, I wish something more would happen.
I wonder if that's just an audience preference thing. Because when people watch horror movies, it's the same. You don't really do it for the plot. You just do it for the somewhat jump scares. The jump scare is the action in that type of movie, right?
What I want to ask you though is like, why have audiences become like so much more, for lack of a better term, like bloodthirsty for these types of movies? Like, it's like violence. It's funny because like we were talking, there's something you were saying where we were watching this movie and this movie is like, the plot is like delivered in a way where it's like, just in case you fucking missed it. And it's like, well, I didn't, because I'm like, I didn't miss this. And you were saying it's like, I don't know, like it's aimed at a younger audience. But I was like, no, it's clearly not though. Because like Aaron Taylor Johnson gets stabbed in the neck and he's spraying blood all over the train.
Yeah.
There's people
You
throwing
think like
up blood.
a 16-year-old would enjoy that?
Well, of course they would. That's what I'm saying. But it's like, but that kind of thing, it's like now rated R movies like that are super violent are kind of for like teenage boys.
Yeah.
But it's such a weird shift in the preference, and like it seems like traumatic and comedic violence has like replaced other types of like things in films that make you feel something visceral.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I wonder about.
And maybe that like
discuss.
And it is like with intention. Like they do want to take a break from those serious visceral feeling films, which in the last maybe 40 years is what we've mostly gotten, right? From cinema that is serious, we expect it to have action that is serious, with emotion that is serious. But with a quote unquote comedy like Bullet Train, any kind of like gore or violence that you get has to be so exaggerated in its display that it has to be comedic. And for it to be comedic, it would have to be getting shot 40 times and still not dying. So like that is the premise of movies like, and I don't think John Wick qualifies in this category because it does take a serious approach. It is more stylistic. It is choreographed. And it's more of oohs and ahs rather than ha-ha-has. You know what I mean? Like it's...
But John Wick is still like built around these like, well skilled, like around these set pieces that involve like excessive violence.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
any Bruce Lee film.
We threw on like I'm not very familiar with Hong Kong cinema, so I don't know. But like we threw on John Wick 2 because I'd never seen it, but I was like, oh, I want to watch a little bit of it. Like the first half hour of John Wick 2, I wasn't following much, but like all it was him like breaking the legs of nameless baddies.
But it's
to go to a guy and be like, don't bother me.
Totally. And that's the beauty of it because it is so minimal in any kind of distraction. And the only thing you're looking at is almost a dance form, right? It's the choreography, which
absolutely.
is like so
like,
exciting.
That stuff is like where it's highly highly skillful and
totally.
stuff. I don't deny that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I'm like, it for me personally, it just doesn't satisfy a lot of what I want out of a film.
Yeah.
And so like I find that I want to compare this to a movie that I and Terrence Malick both love. And because of that, it's obviously a good film and no one can tell me otherwise. This movie is a shittier version. Bullet Train is just a shitty version of Smokin' Aces, which I submit is a fantastic action film.
Yeah.
And the reason it's great is because, and when you look back, we should watch Smokin' Aces, because if you look back at that movie, which is, it was like, we'll do it on the pod someday, but it has like the exact same structure where it's like, here's person A, person B, person C, D, and E, and then here's person F and G. And then, boom, here's some flashbacks about how they got to where they are, who they are, blah, blah, blah. And then we're setting them up. They drag all into this one place, and then action happens. Jeremy Piven is there. That's all you need to know about Smokin' Aces. It's fantastic.
Ari Gold, baby.
But the thing that's so incredible about it, in my opinion, is like it ramps up the tension more. Because that movie is like, when you think of that movie, you're like, oh, it's just like nonstop action. It's like, no, a lot of it is just like the tension tightening and tightening as they get closer to an explosion.
Yeah.
And I find like Bullet Train, where it fails is that a lot of it is action, and there's a lot of action sequences interspersed.
Yeah.
That kind of like feel like you're just kind of jumping the gun way too early.
And that's all it's trying to do. I don't think it's trying to be a thriller.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be a mystery. It's not an Agatha Christie novel unfurling.
But the plot is really complex. Like
it's like needlessly complex.
Especially too because they only really reveal what's been happening the whole time in the last 25 minutes.
Oh my god!
They bring in fucking Michael Shannon to be like, just in case you were wondering, here's everything that matters. Okay, now we're gonna punch each other again for 30 straight minutes. It's like I feel and sound like an old fucking man. But I find it just such an interesting...
It's a shift, right?
Violence has become one of the few taboo things that people will appreciate on film.
Yeah.
But in doing so, it's become way less taboo than it ever has been.
Is it taboo?
Well, yeah, like okay, there's a scene in Monkey Man which is like kind of comedic in its like gnarliness, where he stabs a guy in the neck with a knife, but just a little bit, and then grabs it with his teeth and pushes it into his neck, and like blood sprays out and stuff, right?
Ooh.
And like I think that yes, like violence has been taboo in the past because like it depends on its usage, obviously, but I think it's become so much lighter in these films where it's like Extraction is just kind of like this guy's just shooting nameless people in the face, like the whole thing.
I wonder if it is like a Game of Thrones effect, where after a long time, where like a large audience got to see some pretty gratuitous violence, like actual beheadings, and I mean, but actual, I just mean like when you see.
No, they literally did it on Game of Thrones.
They got
so
extras, and then they killed a damn.
It's a open secret in Hollywood. They were like, if you go on Game of Thrones, they're like, you'll die, and the person's like my character will die. Like, yes, but also you.
A famous fickle.
Yeah.
Right? Get those 15 minutes in, baby. I think it might just be that because there's a greater audience for it, and it doesn't always have to be tied up with horror. It's been a while since I've seen Evil Dead, but I think it's the same kind of neck blood spurty action.
But in horror, you expect it more.
Totally.
You know?
And there's an audience that maybe just wants to see a movie for the thrill of it without having a jump scare of horror.
Absolutely. And I also think that like there's a fine line, which is literally like the visual appearance of like blood and gore.
Yeah.
There's a fine line, but there's a fine line between that and something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where it's like,
oh yeah,
that's for here's a good example, like we talked about on the Indiana Jones episode, is like Voller gets absolutely trucked by this piece of metal and he's totally fine. But like when you think of that, you're just like his entire head would explode.
Yeah.
And like Marvel and Transformers and all of these kind of big blockbusters, they do that where they have this violence that's bloodless, and you're just, but like when you think about it, like
good point.
There's this joke I said to my brother. I was playing I'm a big fan of the Batman Arkham video games.
Yeah.
Which they're funny because like, and Batman as a superhero I love the way that he's like, I don't kill. I just completely
obliterate
them.
Dude.
Like there's parts in those video games where you like can finish a guy by like smashing his head through a brick wall.
Oh god.
And you're just kind of like, well, you might not have killed him.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna do good after that.
Shit, you're totally right.
The funny thing is, like in like Marvel or like the comic book movies, when you see some stuff where like Kaylee Spaney will throw Thor's hammer into a guy.
Yeah.
And it's like that isn't that thing like the weight of the sun or some shit. That's why. And it's like that would just like knock their head apart but it's like this bloodless thing where it's like, oh boy, these superheroes are so. It's a good thing they didn't kill anybody, but it's like everyone here has brain damage. They're destitute from their medical bills. Yeah. You know,
destitute from their medical bills.
And then the key difference between that, John Wick, and this, and Extraction, and blah blah blah, even Deadpool for example, is like just the presence of like blood and gore. You know, and the weird thing is like Deadpool comes in and it's like, oh, it's like the first rated R Marvel film, and it's like super bloody and violent, but it's like completely comical. Yeah. You know, like it's like, so totally. What really material difference is there between that and a normal Marvel film? And it's just a weird way that they rate these things.
Yeah, so it is just the presence of blood, hey?
Yeah,
like
kinda,
like the visceral nature of which they show that.
Here's like a good comparison to a movie like this. Kill Bill.
Yeah.
So, but Kill Bill plays their violence off literally as black comedy, right? Like there's a scene where Lucy Liu cuts a guy's head off and it like pauses for a second and then 3 spurts of blood just spray out endlessly.
Yeah.
And like, and having that same like Japanese setting thing. And then Uma Thurman in the end of Kill Bill 1 just kills like 100 faceless gangsters.
Yep.
But it's kind of making that kind of comment as well as referencing other types of films. It's just a weird shift in the action genre, you know.
Do you think
it can be excessively violent as long as you make it light in tone.
Yeah. Do you find yourself like desensitized to blood and gore the more you see it?
I've never been like super sensitive.
Does it shock you?
No,
anymore?
It doesn't shock me. But
not anymore.
But
right?
you can. But okay, like you can make a film that's excessively violent.
Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan is an incredible example of that.
Mm.
Where like the violence is so overwhelming, but they take it as seriously as it's meant to be taken, right?
Yeah.
And that's all in the tone of like, you know, as much as World War II was hilarious, they weren't going to make a comedy about it. But like that's all in the tone and the way they shoot and blah, blah, blah.
Sure, yeah.
But these movies, it seems like it's like you can have like hardcore violence as long as Brad Pitt's just a real goof in a bucket hat. That's what I think of this movie.
Yeah,
And I personally, I get it. It's not really aimed at me. It's more the Michael Bay thing of being like, fucking 15-year-old boys want to watch stuff blow up and they want to watch people get stabbed in the chin. You know?
That's it.
I get that, but it's an interesting genre shift. And the Fall Guy looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
Except I don't know what the Fall Guy is currently rated, but if the Fall Guy is rated like PG-13, it's going to be the same where it's like, what's really the difference between this and
and like the premise even asks for it. He is a stunt actor or whatever, so of course you're gonna see broken bones. You're gonna see like split skin,
but
maybe.
Never his beautiful face.
Never his face.
Ryan's face will stay unscuffed.
Thank you, God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to. I just find it to be an interesting way of viewing films these days.
I don't even clock it because I'm just like, if there's no blood and gore, I'm almost like, okay, it was decent. But that excitement is definitely built up when there's a more visceral scene.
Like I have nothing against like John Wick as a series. Like I was saying when we were watching the second one, which we didn't finish, but I was like, this must be one of the most successful original series like ever made.
Oh yeah. And
I respect that. I think it's really interesting. But like even when I was watching John Wick 2, a lot of it I was just kind of like, why are there 4 of these? Like, it just doesn't seem like you need 4.
I just want to see more dance fighting.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about it.
It is cool. I'm not but it's also like, I don't know what you're hanging on to. And for me, I'm like, I need some emotional investment to hang on to.
I think it is the excitement of watching the fight scene that some people get, which other people who watch horror movies get that kind of excitement. What do you get from a clown jumping at your face? It's the same clown, but it's like
joy.
It's the same joy. It's the same like tension that you feel.
Right, but the difference between a horror movie and this type of genre is there is tension. These movies, like they let the air out of the balloon constantly. You're just constantly getting this like barrage. Whereas like good horror movies ramp up tension, like Smokin' Aces does as one of the greatest action films of the early aughts. You know
and I'm now like struggling to think of an action movie that is also a horror.
None that work.
That like walks the line both ways. No. Evil Dead.
Aliens, sort of.
Alien.
The Alien genre, the Alien franchise though is like, I think been seriously handcuffed by the fact that the first movie was a horror, and now they feel like everything has to be like sort of horror and space action.
Right.
You know, like I think I don't know. I
guess
think that's
the
a problem.
bullet train of horror comedy is Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, and that it's a bad movie. Yeah.
I said comedy. Okay.
Yeah, it's not funny either, actually.
Oh yeah.
I feel so alienated by the film Cabin in the Woods because almost everyone I know and people I've like seen online are like, oh, genius, and I'm like, I hated that movie. So
you don't like the cool like scene where everything closes and then the blood comes gushing out? No.
I don't remember because I was busy because I hated that film. I was busy being like, I already hate a lot of it.
It has sick visuals.
I'm sure it has some fine scenes and stuff, but it's also written by a friend of the pod, Joss Whedon, I believe, and you know how I feel about his rating.
Yeah,
and also I just thought it was a dumb movie. I think it's a really, really dumb film.
I think it's meant to be. It was meant to be dumb.
Really? Because everyone who watched it was like, oh my God, I've never seen such a genius horror film in my life. And I was like, I don't know. It's the same as Scream, except Scream is way better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dumb film, Chris Hemsworth.
Less blood.
You're better in Extraction.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You should watch Extraction, though, if you want the John Wick.
I do. I've been meaning. There's 2 of those now, right? There's
maybe,
an Extraction
I don't know.
2.
Netflix releases 500 things a week,
That's
so I don't know.
yeah.
Probably yes.
That's true.
Yeah. Extraction's. I liked it. I just it definitely fits in the genre.
Yeah. But like Bullet Train, it tells you here's what you're gonna get: dudes on a train, snakes on a train, fighting. And then that's all it does.
Yeah.
That's all it does. But it takes way too long to do it.
Yeah, this train needs to come into the station a little faster.
Chop,
Am I right,
chop,
ladies?
This train
Ladies?
is 2 hours.
Hey, ladies, a train between Tokyo and Kyoto.
Am I right, fellas?
It's a bullet, but it's not a speeding one, I guess.
It's not as fast.
No, it's way too long. All right.
No.
You want to talk about the plot?
Yeah.
Completely don't know, or don't really know nor care what really happened in this film.
Actually not.
As I said, train ride's a little too long. And by the end, I was like, I love Michael Shannon, but holy shit, I don't want to hear him explain everything.
My God.
But I do want to point out the only funny thing in this film is when you meet Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
He's walking through the street talking to Sandra Bullock. And we go to one of the vintage expository flashbacks, and he's talking about a time he had to kill a politician.
Yeah.
And there's this cut to this politician doing it with this woman in this room. And she's just like, I voted for you. Which I thought was amazing. And then a bellboy commits suicide, which is not funny.
Oh,
but yeah.
Man.
So Brad Pitt plays an assassin named Ladybug who's doing one last job before he goes to therapy or whatever, where he has to go onto this train and take a briefcase.
The big running joke of the film for Brad Pitt is that he has bad luck that he can't shake off.
Yeah, they definitely forget that later. It doesn't feel like they keep that in mind.
They keep saying he can't get any luck on his side, and so as a joke, his handler calls him Ladybug, who's meant to be a symbol of good luck.
Yeah, that was totally lost on me.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Brad Pitt does say it, but I was like, all right.
I think every character says it. What a Ladybug? Oh, in Japan it means
Ladybug.
A bag of luck.
This is Brian Tyree Henry.
That's what everybody sounds like in Japan, okay?
Yeah.
It's a bug in it.
Yeah. This is my impression of a Japanese person. A ladybug. That's a really nice bug. I've buried enough members of the Wayne family.
Oi. My name's Guy Ritchie
you.
and I'm in Japan, innit? Innit, bro.
All right, so that's all that happens. That's it.
Yeah, that's
we again, okay, like another weird thing about this film, we open on this guy whose son was pushed off a roof, and I was like, when we opened on him, and then the Swordmaster from Last Samurai shows up, great actor. We open on him, and then you're just kind of like, oh yeah, he's a minor character.
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah,
he has almost nothing to do with this.
Totally.
Film. So largely, like I don't really remember like what happened. Joey King pushes his kid off a roof or something. Like their entire story is completely lost on me.
Joey King is also quite a captivating character in this. I didn't think Joey King would get that much screen time, and for whatever time she stays on screen, you're like, oh, she's a little weirdo.
I think she's fine.
She's fine in it.
Yeah, in it. Joey, you're fine in it. Ladybug has to get this briefcase. And then Tangerine and Lemon, played by A.T. Johnson.
A.T. Johnson.
ATJ and
BTH.
BTH.
Brian Tyree Henry.
Brian Tyree are escorting Logan Lerman, who's the son of the White Death, on this train to Kyoto with the briefcase full of money. I don't know what the money's for. I've completely forgotten.
They don't even, and no one says.
No one, doesn't matter.
No,
Ransom,
it doesn't matter.
Something, I don't know.
They basically, these two thugs are responsible for this big guy's son, and they done goof.
Yeah. Yeah, and they have the briefcase, which is Brian Tyree Henry hid, and then Brad Pitt takes, and then he encounters Bad Bunny, who's there to get revenge for whoever murdered his entire family and his in-laws. I mean,
on his wedding day?
Ladies, who doesn't want to murder their in-laws, am I right?
Okay.
Ladies?
Okay, ladies.
On a bullet train?
Oh my gosh.
Take them on a bullet train to go to murder your in-laws.
Okay, am I right, ladies?
Murder him with snake poison.
Can't get enough.
And he shows up, and then we have a 400-minute flashback of his life, which was essentially 28.
It does. It just feels so long.
It is so. Which again, it's annoying, but it's the only one that works because he immediately Brad Pitt stabs him to death.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah. It's pretty great.
Which is like that's like a funny joke, but you're just kind of like, oh my god, so many flashbacks. It's just what's going on.
Yeah, stay glued. Look, no matter what you say about how badly this kind of goes back and forth and exposition and flashback and takes like an hour and a half to set up the most basic thing for every single character, at no point do you feel like I'm lost. Because you just take it at face value. You don't have to know their motivation. You don't have to know what their childhood was like, or why are they here and what are they doing, because there's good banter between it.
Let me say this, and I don't mean this as a compliment, but it's part of the reason why the film works. The story is unimportant. Like, the plot is unimportant.
Because the characters are charismatic. The actors they chose...
It's a real vibe.
They do a good job. And there's good enough pace for them to get through any scene where it's just them having a conversation with each other.
Like, a lot of what is happening, I find to be episodic, tedious, in a way, you know? And as you well know, Aristotle said that episodic storytelling is the worst kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
And he also said, I wish to kill my in-laws.
I wish there was a snake at my wedding.
All of Aristotle's writing ended with, am I right, fellas?
Fellas,
am I right?
Fellas, my Aristotle fellas. Oh.
Episodic storytelling, fellas. Am I right?
No takers.
Yeah, so... Brad Pitt gets the briefcase eventually, and he is prevented at multiple times from getting off the train because he doesn't realize you could use a different door than someone is standing behind.
Dude.
Then eventually Zazie Beetz shows.
Yeah.
That's a fun cameo. She shows up. So Channing Tatum gives a little cameo as well, trying to do sexual favors for Brad Pitt, which, can you blame him? And then
look at him.
Zazie Beetz shows up after wearing a huge mascot costume. Fun cameo.
Yeah.
She gets immediately dead to death. As so does Logan Lerman from the snake poison.
So there's a snake on a train.
Snakes on the train as well, just slithering around.
All right. Apparently that snake venom is what kills several people on this train.
Many people. More people than fists and knives.
Yeah.
But,
then at one point we're like, why are there no people on this train?
Eventually, yes, we figure that out. And throughout this whole thing, this is the thing, like, okay, Joey King and the Japanese dad just sit around.
Yeah.
I don't really know nor care why they are there. You know,
sure.
The guy wants to get revenge for whoever pushed his son off the roof, which Joey King claims to be her.
Yeah.
But she's also like, here, use this gun. It's got a bomb in it. I don't know. She wants the briefcase too?
Joey King wants to prove to her Mafia Don father, the White Death, that she is the better child. Not the son that he sent two bodyguards, Tangerine and Lemon, to protect. She is the better Mafia child who should get the Mafia respect and be the, boss baby of this franchise.
Yeah.
And then we find out later that the dad is like, oh, whatever, you were a mistake. But you're right.
Yeah.
And that's it. She doesn't really get any kind of revenge. She's kind of
Doesn't she kill her dad?
She's...
Oh, she gets hit by a car.
She doesn't. Someone else kills her. Yeah.
And she gets run over by Lemon, actually.
Yeah.
We're
in a truck full of tangerines.
We're skipping to the end.
Whatever.
Basically what happens, okay. Aaron Taylor Johnson, dead to death.
Very
Zazie
dead.
Beetz, hardcore dead.
Yeah.
All of the people on the train eventually get off, and it's like just these four people. And they're like, oh, well, we're going to meet the White Death in Kyoto.
Yeah.
Because the swordman from Last Samurai shows up, the Elder.
This is already a train wreck.
It is already a train
Ladies,
wreck.
a train, bullet train
Brian Tyree Henry, Lemon, appears to be dead, but he is not.
He's actually just passed out from drinking sleeping juice or whatever.
So they arrive in Kyoto. The White Death is there with all his gangsterismos. He gets on the train. He takes off his mask. It's Michael Shannon. You'd never believe that Michael Shannon was... Yeah.
They got Brad Pitt. Who do you think would have been like an equally bigger build equivalent villain instead of Michael Shannon?
Then Brad Pitt? No one. No one could be a
no one can
star.
That's what I'm thinking. Like
unless Leonardo DiCaprio showed up, I don't know if it would be that shocking.
As the White Death.
Like, I love Michael Shannon a lot. Not in this film, but I really quite like Michael Shannon. But it is like,
well, what if George Clooney was White Death or something, right? That's the kind of shit I wanted to see. I was like, at least give us that big cameo.
There's another cameo in this film that just completely just gives you complete blue balls if you're into that sort of thing. Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what. Okay. You know what? You know when I said someone typed in Guy Ritchie film anime into ChatGPT and got Bullet Train? There was like one more result they had to do. Ryan Gosling comedy, but
Reynolds.
Brad Pitt.
Ryan Reynolds.
Fuck, Ryan Reynolds. God damn it. See what I mean? They're all just blending into the same fucking action shit, man.
The thing about Ryan Reynolds' cameo is that he killed the White Death's wife.
He was supposed to be on the train.
Brad Pitt replaced him because he called in sick to the Assassin Bureau or whatever. Fucking www.assassins.web.
Holiday.com.
Yeah.
Bamboo HR is not responding to my request right now, god damn it. And so Brad Pitt unfortunately happens to be the one taking the job on the train, and this whole time the White Death thinks that he is actually Ryan Reynolds.
Carver, who killed his wife and all sorts of other stuff.
And did all his other business.
And then they all get in it. There's after they get the plot out of the way in 1 minute, they get in a massive train wreck
Continuing
of
fight.
a literal train wreck of a fight.
My God.
That ends with the bullet train. That ends with what should have been the complete spaghettification of all of their bodies, but somehow like seven people survived this catastrophic accident of the fastest train on Earth.
They destroy a village, but they live.
Yeah. And the White Death doesn't live.
We're not going to talk about physics or nothing, right? Because that's fake and trains are real.
We all know that physics doesn't really matter in these situations. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But my absolute brain melting thing that I've ever seen is the bullet train takes off and then Aaron Taylor Johnson is on the platform running behind the train, catches up with the train, jumps onto the train.
Well, he jumps onto the caboose of the train as it leaves, but then like
stays on.
They are completely like smooth, and he's like, oh boy, he's like Spider-Man gripping the back.
Yeah.
But I was saying that I was like, as soon as he looks up over the roof, it must just whip him off the back.
And nothing happens to him.
He just punches the window out.
It's because he's the fucking silver speedster.
You know what? The thing about one of the issues I have with these movies and their lack of like dramatic tension is that like every problem can be solved by punching and kicking, and also like people can get like get shot, concussed, broken, and then they're just like, oh, tough day at the office. Oh. Michael Shannon gets half of his chest cut like through by the elder,
and katana goes through his shoulder blade into his heart,
and he's still like, I'm still standing.
I'm walking, and I'm gonna deliver this monologue.
I didn't hear no bell. Yeah,
bro.
Yeah, that's the plot of Bullet Train. This probably wasn't useful to anybody. But enjoy the Fall Guy.
But I feel like if they saw it the way we saw it, you would feel the same way. You would enjoy it and be like, I am glad that I am on several grams of the drugs.
It's a movie much like Rock and Rolla. Just wasn't really made for me.
It was surprisingly not filmed in a toilet.
It's a movie that like, it looks great. That like everyone listening to this who like that movie would be like, why don't you fucking not take things so seriously? I agree. You're right. That's a complete valid criticism of my thoughts on this film. But
we're not taking it seriously, right? Because it was so fun to see these big fucking remarkable actors, fucking Brian Tyree Henry, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Brad fucking Pitt, come through and still steal the scene every time they're on screen.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is fantastic.
Excellent in this.
This might be his best film.
I fully agree.
Besides Tenet.
Give him these like goofy ass roles where he's just this like weird thug.
Yeah, director Sam Taylor Johnson. Give your hubby these better roles.
Get it together, Sam.
God,
shit.
Sam. Can't believe her.
We love you. You're doing a good job.
So The Fall Guy has got good reviews. So far.
Yeah.
It looks dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see it.
Your eyes may or may not bleed.
They don't need my help. They don't need my help at all. Yeah.
I'll watch it if it's on streaming, which it will be in about 20 minutes.
No, I think this is going to be the first huge film of the summer.
Is it the summer blockbuster?
Big summer release, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, maybe 40 minutes.
It looks like, okay, the thing about it is like, it looks just like this movie to me.
Yeah.
But it has like way better reviews.
Yo, what is that Sandra Bullock film that we were talking about that with the jungle and Channing Tatum?
Miscongeniality. No, with Brad Pitt.
With Brad Pitt.
Jungle Cruise.
There you go. Which also feels like a bullet train.
The Lost City.
The Lost City. Not Jungle Cruise.
That's another genre.
There you are.
Jumanji, Jungle Cruise, and The Lost City, all in this triumvirate of stuff that's like, like.
Jumanji is not on the same level. Okay, come on.
But it's same genre though. Same genre.
What, jungle genre?
No, like goofy adventure film.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, then that's like the
alternatively adventure film in which you can shove Kevin Hart into.
And Dwayne Johnson.
Because
what is the one with the Witch Mountain or whatever that Dwayne Johnson's in, which is also like Jumanji?
That is The Corpse Wedding by Tim Burton.
Okay,
yeah, they get married on Witch Mountain.
There's not even a single tree.
The Witch Mountain?
I think it's like
skyscraper.
No, fuck. I'm butchering this. Good thing we have a cinema podcast where we are expert cinema watchers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson with doing things in the jungle. That's a genre.
What is the Witch Mountain though?
Wait, I will tell you right now. Hold on.
Is it a recent film?
No, it's very old. There's like 2 or 3 of those. Race to Witch Mountain, 2009.
Why do you remember that film? I've never even heard of it.
What? It's exactly like the Jumanjis of the world, like the newer Jumanjis at least, where it's like Dwayne
Johnson-Doing-Jungle stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like saving these 2 kids running around, and it's.
Do you ever see The Rundown with Dwayne Johnson and Stifler?
No.
It's a Pete Berg film.
Oh my God, no.
That movie rules. That started the Dwayne Johnson in the Jungle genre.
Oh,
great film.
Holy shit. Okay, yeah, of course. I've seen this.
Oh, I've
seen The Rundown.
There's a scene where Dwayne Johnson leaps across from one tower to another.
Yeah.
And in midair, just like adjusts his shoulder to like running back check this like cement beam and just breaks through it.
Again,
it's amazing.
Huge names. Christopher Walken.
It's so
Rosario
funny because like
Dawson.
so many of these other these older films from my childhood and youth, I'm like, yeah, I was totally fine with those.
Yeah.
But now that I'm
we're
an adult,
yeah.
but even like it's like with Bullet Train, for example, I'm like, I mean, Smokin' Ace is just a better version of this, so I'd rather just watch that.
That's why it's like critic rating for all these films, for Rundown, for Bullet Train, is like 50%, and then audience rating 75%.
Yeah,
79%.
Because they know how to not take things so seriously.
Yeah.
Unlike some other asshole who has podcasts.
You're there, that 50% critic rating. Like,
yeah.
Train has pointy elbows. 2 out of 10.
The Bullet Train needs to speed up.
Doesn't even physics proper.
Yeah,
it's all good. Yeah. You know what? I wouldn't hate it if someone threw it on at a party and it was just like in the background. Fine.
Oh yeah.
It's like fun enough watch. There's all these cuties doing their cute thing, and then they die, and that's always nice. And you know how much I love gratuitous violence.
Some of them live, yeah.
Against my wishes.
Wow. Okay. Jeez. All right.
It's been the low ceiling.
This has been the low ceiling. That's Bullet Train. Fall Guy. It's out.
Okay.
Go see it.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Fall Guy.
Okay.
Out in theaters. David Leitch's new film, The Fall Guy.
Bye.
Gonna be better than Deadpool.
Yes. Oh, you're such a hater.
Ryan Gosling, we fallen a lot.
Oh, does he fall?
Fall Guy, May 3rd. 2024.
Bye.